601. Ms. Marin, can you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item number 3, establishment of quorum.
René Rodríguez,
Here.
María Reyes,
Here.
Ralph Duran,
Here.
Mayor Elia Garcia,
Here.
Victor Perez,
Here.
Iván Colón Villalobos is absent. Mayor, we have a quorum.
Public comment.
Lorenza Fraire, Esteban, we have another podium if you can just move it. That one. Yes, ma'am.
Success is measured on the quality of life of the city of Socorro. We have been here and have told the council of the poor leadership and mismanagement of funds. Now comes a new mayor and a new councilman. Again, we see poor leadership and mismanagement of funds. Items 16, 17, 18, 21, and 22 are just a few of the examples of your poor management. Item 24 is a big example of how a new elected councilman shows his poor leadership. But it tells how he only wants control. Keep in mind, there have been many other council members who have already created ordinances to control and continue to mismanage our tax dollars. Action speaks louder than words. Just look at how bad the roads and streets of Socorro are, and the fact that we do not have the water reservoir that we really need in Socorro to protect our homes from the waters from Horizon. God has given you an opportunity to serve. The choice is yours, to choose right from wrong. You don't serve us, you serve God. Thank you.
Sergio Jaime, señor Jaime tiene 3 minutos.
Buenas tardes. Pues yo estoy un poco inconforme con las decisiones que han tomado el concilio y la administración. Al parecer no tenemos ningún beneficio en la ciudad, pero sí gastan mucho dinero en cosas que no son beneficio para la ciudad de Socorro, para los habitantes. Déjenme decirles, tenemos un concilio y en una administración mediocre y corrupta. Lo único que saben hacer es presentar los presupuestos que gastan en cosas que no benefician a la ciudad de Socorro. Solo piensan en sus intereses personales y las tranzas que abundan en el concilio. Lo siguiente es, ¿de qué sirve tener una policía que nos cuesta 3 millones y fracción? ¿Para qué quieren contratar a un investigador privado? Que mejor los investiguen a ustedes, que tienen cola que les pisen. Ustedes son los que tienen que rendir cuentas a los contribuyentes de Socorro. señores, esto ya basta de tranzas. ¿Desde cuándo tienen a la persona que iba a ocupar la comisión de, el Sonny Plami? Cuando han resuelto eso, sigue la misma mafia, siguen pasando las tranzas aquí corruptamente. Y ustedes lo saben, pero ¿quiénes se están beneficiando? Ustedes se están beneficiando. Por eso es que no quieren ustedes que otras gentes ocupen el lugar, porque todo lo tienen preparado. Son propotentes en todos momentos. Y eso no está bien, porque aquí no queremos corrupción, queremos gente honesta, que de veras trabaje para los ciudadanos de Socorro. No vengan nomás a hacer sus tranzas, apoyar las tranzas que tienen con los negocios que van a hacer o terrenos. Esto está muy claro, que todas las tranzas que hacen, compraron un árbol de $42,000 cuando no tenemos banquetas, no tenemos nada. Eso no se les puede permitir tanto. Esos son tranzas ya. Gastan el dinero que no se benefician a nadie. Entonces, ¿para qué queremos una administración que no está haciendo lo que debe de ser para la ciudadanía? No le da la cara
Señor
a los
Jaime,
medios,
se le
salen
terminó su
corriendo.
tiempo.
Gracias.
Raúl González.
Good afternoon. My name is Maria Gonzalez, and my concern is you all want to beautify the valles, but we would like to be, remembered. We live in the Grijalva Gardens, and we feel forgotten because we don't have paved the pavement on the sidewalks. We need, if we can get a speed hump, because the cars drive real fast there on the Grijalva close to Moon Road. And then we also, let me see, I would like to see if it's possible that you all can fix the Rio Vista farm. Maybe you can put that to use, rent it later on to the needy people, or do something with it, like build a little mall or something that we can see that you've done in the community. We've also like to, let me see, what else did I put? If you can clean, like they can clean the lots, that there's a lot of weeds on the lots in the Grijalva Street. There's some empty lots, and then the one on Moon Road where you have the lot next to, the lot that's empty next to 695 Moon Road. It's an empty big lot there. There's a lot of weeds. So people there walk, they walk their pets. There's children riding bikes and everything, so I would really like to see that speed bump. Mi concernimiento es que puedan, si nos podrían poner el bordito que va en la calle, porque pasan muy recios los carros en la Grijalva. Entonces también me gustaría ver que hagan algo en el edificio del farm de Rio Vista, que traigan a la misma gente de la comunidad, a los hombres que no tienen empleo probablemente, para que arreglen ese edificio y lo pongan a usarse, ya sea rentarlo a las personas que son de bajos recursos, y también que nos limpien los terrenos que están solos, que tienen mucha hierba. Hay personas que caminamos, hay personas con niños que van en bicicleta o algo, y los carros pasan muy recio, y también hay mucho mosquito. Eso es lo que a mí me gustaría ver que hicieran, que nos hicieran banquetas. Nosotros vivimos ahí, mi madre tiene su casita ahí desde, no recuerdo si el año 73 o 74. We've been there since 1973, 74. So I would really like to see some changes here in Socorro. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, for the record, Iván Colón Villalobos arrived to the meeting at 6:10. Daniel Hernández. Mr. Hernandez, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. My name is Daniel Hernandez. In the last meeting, there was things that you guys wanted to purchase, for example, that very expensive Christmas tree. And Mr. Rene said,
Rodriguez, please.
excuse me?
You heard me?
Yes, you said we
Mr.
did need
Rodriguez.
that because it was quality of life, to show quality of life here in Socorro. That is calidad de vida. I don't think that we're up to buying expensive trees. Out in the streets where I live, there's no sidewalks. I live near a school in Campestre. The streets are messed up. Come on, let's show the people, other cities around us, that we do have quality of life. Why have just a tree right there, just sitting there? You know, they say, oh, we would like to buy it because it's a 10-year warranty. If you do the math, you only have that tree out once a month for the whole year, so it's a 10-month warranty. So, I mean, let's spend our money wisely. Let's go ahead and like Mr. Rene said, let's do it right, let's do it once. We're only recapping streets, we're only doing all this. We need to invest our money where we need it. So people that are paying, the taxpayers, could see where the money's going. Because right now, quality of life, I really don't see it. I'm sorry, but I really don't. Thank you.
Ben Ivy. Mr. Ivy, you have 3 minutes. You have 3 minutes.
Good afternoon, Mayor and City Council. Thank you for allowing me to be here for a few minutes. It's nothing real major or anything else. I just wanted to point out some of the things that may be going on in Socorro in the future. We've visited with the city manager before and some of the city council members, and I think it's a very good thing that Old Waco Tanks Road is continuing to be improved and hopefully open some opportunity to all the residents of Socorro. I'm involved with developing our development, which extends from both in the city of El Paso and the city of Socorro, that extends hopefully from America's Avenue to Old Waco Tanks Road, to bring in opportunities for jobs, business opportunities, entertainment centers, restaurants, retail space, and quite a few different things. We've got it all, like I said, is planned for a master plan community. And I just kind of wanted to bring that to y'all's attention, and I'm going to be back for another item on the agenda here in a minute, but I just wanted to say that we sure are looking forward to bringing a lot of opportunity for Socorro. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sergio Cox. Mr. Cox, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you, ma'am. My name is Sergio Cox. I have been a past council member of this city of Socorro. Sat right there once before. Have had about 6 years' experience in city council. And I have an issue with a leak that you guys have that seems to be getting to the blogs where a propaganda article is always written by Mr. Abetia. He had access to a tape that was supposed to have been taken in private between the city manager, a council person, and the attorney. How he had that leak and how he got it, I don't know. But are we setting a precedence here now where you, council people, cannot request a meeting with the city manager and an attorney? Because the last time I looked, the organizational chart says the people of Socorro, the mayor and council, the city manager, and the attorney after that. And anytime when I was in council, if I needed to talk to the attorney and the city manager, and I requested a meeting, and I requested that the attorney be there, the city manager saw to it that the city attorney was there for me. Thus, the city attorney bringing forth the attorney. The city manager bringing the city attorney down to us so we could talk to him and find out issues about the city of Socorro, whether it's issues with the elections or not, okay? Does that mean now that every time you guys request a meeting, you're subject to being slandered all over this propaganda, this fake news that's going on with this Jaime Abeitia? Does that mean that we're going to lose the confidence between you guys and the city manager and the attorney and whoever else is on here that's releasing that leak to Jaime Abeitia and let him know that there's been controversy and that he needs to publish something in his fake news? There's an issue there. There's a problem there because that violates the trust between management and the council people that are here to vote for, that are, you have to put the people that put you in to take care of the city of Socorro. And that breaks up the working rapport that you should have. There's a trust factor that's missing there, all right? The issue that I became aware of was over an investigation that you guys want to do because there was something that happened here with the elections department here while there was elections were running here. Well, I'm sorry, but I recall another election that happened down at the daycare center over there in Alameda in front of Socorro High School, where there was shouting and screaming from an individual on this council and an individual that did not get voted in, with other people from the other opposition that were voting. The elections department took care of that issue, and they made those people move outside, away from where the voting was taking place. But there wasn't an investigation on that one. Why
Mr.
wasn't it?
Cox, your time is up.
Thank you.
Erlinda Rangel. Marta Hernández. Alicia Delgado. No. Sergeant Muñoz. Sergeant Muñoz, you have 3 minutes.
Good afternoon, thank you. This is my first time publicly speaking in front of everybody, but I want to just publicly extend my gratitude for the support that I received during my time. As you all know, the state of Texas was devastated with the hurricane, and within a couple of hours, I was activated to go out there and help the victims of Hurricane Harvey in our great state of Texas. But with that, I couldn't have done it without the support of council, department heads, my lieutenant, my sergeant, and most importantly, all my officers. So I'm just thanking everybody for allowing me to do that. And we represent the city of Socorro out there by putting my service out there. So that was it.
Thank you. Thank you for your service.
Pablo Barrera. Mr. Barrera, you have 3 minutes.
Yes, ma'am. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Pretty much I want to address the park that I live in, Las Lunas subdivision. The residents, or that subdivision has been there probably about 8-9 years, and I want to say the last 4 years, the builder just threw the grass, the sand, a slab of concrete just to say, hey, we have a park. It's not a park. There's no kids that can go actually play. The weeds, it's ridiculous. When it rains, it floods. There's been some kids that have jumped in there. That's all the oil and everything from the vehicles goes in there. That's a hazard. There's no signs. So the city needs to step up and take care of that park and actually make it a park where kids can go there and have fun, play, be active, and so they're not out there being destructive, tagging up on stuff or theft, because I know there's also been home burglaries in that area. I can probably count maybe a good solid 6, 7 in the last 7 years, and that's still a lot in my opinion, because that subdivision is a pretty nice subdivision. Most people try to take care of it, and for it to go to waste or people to leave that subdivision because we don't have a park, because things aren't maintained there, that falls on the city's responsibility. And I hope and look forward to you guys being able to allot some funds to bring that up to par, and so that looks nice and we can keep our kids active there. And also that Veterans Park. I'm a veteran myself. I'm disappointed with the city that money's still sitting there. Nothing's been done with that park. And I mean, I'm an athletic person myself, so I would like to see, some type of trail, track, or soccer field to go out there and play with my kids so I can go exercise. But unfortunately, I don't see anything that's here. I have to go either at work or some other gym or to another park outside of the city, and that shouldn't be the case. I think Socorro is a beautiful city where we can have trails along the canals, or you know, find another way where we can run like that, and it's nice and lit for people to do that. I do think the tree is a waste of money. It's just going to be there for 1 month, and it's going to be sitting in the box. Why not use that money for the parks? You know, let's get the kids active, things of that nature. And that's just my opinion on that. And hopefully you guys can get this done. I appreciate it. Have a good night.
Mayor, those were all our speakers.
Item number 5, excuse absent council members.
Make a motion to approve.
To approve the consent agenda?
Oh, no, you, yeah, wait. Didn't
It's
you
all
see-
consent agenda.
Did you?
It's all consent agenda. No, we can go ahead and do it. I'll have
Okay.
a collection on it. Motion to accept the consent agenda, to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
René Rodríguez,
Aye.
María Reyes,
Yes.
Ralph Duran,
Yes.
Victor Pérez, Iván Colom Villalobos.
Yes.
Item number 13, discussion and action on approving the unaudited financial reports for May 2017.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Mayor, we have 3 speakers. Lorenza Fraire,
The gentleman just before me had told you that there's something wrong with the city with the way our parks and all our areas are supposed to be done. Well, here it is. Here you are approving the payable transactions, the unaudited financial report for May 2017, which leads me to believe that this council is behind 4 months in accounting. If you should know and be aware, your responsibilities is to make sure you're on track with your finances. So this is why our community is in the shape that it's in. We don't have good roads, we don't have good parks, we don't even have a reservoir for our water. Why? Because you're behind in your accounting. It seems to me that you're misspending your money, mismanagement of fund. And again, is there a corruption in here? Leads me to believe that there might be. You have other items in here that should have been approved a long time ago. They should have been approved in June. And here we are, September. What's going on? Huh? What's going on? We're watching. And keep in mind, you serve God, and God has told you to serve His people, and we are God's people. Thank you.
Sergio Jaime, Daniel Hernández, René Rodríguez,
Aye.
María Reyes,
Aye.
Ralph Duran,
Yes.
Victor Pérez, Iván Colom Villalobos.
No.
Item number 14, discussion and action on approving the unaudited financial reports for June 2017.
Make a motion to approve. Second.
Lorenza Fraire,
I question your ability to lead this city in itself based on the fact that financial reports are not being approved in a proper time. It shows to me that there's something wrong, not only with our city council, but with your administration. It seems to me nobody cares about Socorro based on the fact that your financial reports are very late. I believe that in order for us to have a good quality of life in Socorro, it's just like in your house. You take care of your financials first before you move on. But you seem to have a lot of expenses on your agenda tonight. You have a lot of expenses, but you didn't even have your financial report approved. Again, you're late. Thank you.
Sergio Jaime, Daniel Hernández,
Well, it seems to me that it is true. You guys are accepting your accounts, whatever you bought for past month, and then you guys are like, we're supposed to say yes now or else we're gonna get fined. Then why are we waiting till the last minute? Why can't we have a further deadline where you can actually see what's going on before you just approve to approve because you guys are gonna get fined? like I said, we need to see where we're spending our money. If it wasn't for you, Ralph, they would have said yes to that truth. Thank you.
René Rodríguez.
Mr. Rodriguez?
You know, it's funny how people can come up here and just say all these fallacies. For people who don't understand that word, it's lies. So basically, you know, when we approve all of these, is because it takes time so that our financial department can crunch up all the numbers and present it to us. Of course, they're on financial audits because at the end of the year, we have to hire a company that does just that, audit the city. So that's what we do every month. We present, they give us the what we've spent month by month, and at the end of the year, we audit it, and then we approve the audit that the auditors come and audit throughout the whole year. So people that don't understand that. In the past, we had a city manager that didn't pay our bills for 6 months, and yet we have them here saying, oh, you guys didn't do it right. Oh, you guys didn't do it right. How funny it is, huh? But like I say, we're doing the right thing. We're taking care of your money. We're doing the best thing we can, and that's what we're doing, and we're going to continue doing the best that we can. We're not perfect, but by golly, you know, we're trying the best, and we are going to try to do the best and with your money. So
María Reyes.
Yes.
Ralph Duran.
Yes.
Victor Pérez. Iván Colón Villalobos.
No.
Item number 15, discussion and action on approving the unaudited financial reports for July 2017.
make a motion to approve.
Second.
Lorenza Fraire.
Oh, and I'll bring that documentation to next time. We'll be ready to go.
It surprises me for an individual to use the word lie, but I don't lie. Believe me, you go to the website and you're going to look at all the financial reports. Our previous chief financial officer was reporting all of her financial reports on a timely manner. However, based on the fact that Alderman Rodriguez didn't like the way she was doing her finances, he harassed her and she left. We were getting all the reports on time. We were achieving a lot of stuff. But let me tell you one thing, anybody can go to the website and review all the minutes from when the previous financial manager was there, and you will see that we were getting everything in a timely manner. How is it that you approved on consent agenda? June, May, June, July, all of the checks that you all did, she was presenting everything in a timely manner. And I refuse to accept that any council member who has the ability to speak more time than I do, I only get a minute and a half, but he gets to speak as long as he wants.
Sergio Jaime. Daniel Hernández. René Rodríguez.
Aye.
María Reyes. Ralph Duran.
Yes.
Victor Pérez.
Aye.
Iván Colón Villalobos.
May I say something?
Ms. Villalobos?
And the reason I say no is because I'm not fully aware of, I'm not saying our city council is doing something incorrect or our administration. I'm just saying I'm not fully convinced, or I don't have all the information. So therefore, no.
Item number 16, discussion and action to approve job description for a part-time administrative assistant in the Parks and Public Works Department.
Motion to approve for discussion.
Second.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So, you all have the job description, correct? Okay, so are there any questions about that?
So this is
Mr. Perez?
so this is a new position, correct?
Right, and that was approved. That's been approved by council. This is to approve the job description.
Mayor? Recognize me. Thank you.
Are these full-time or part-time?
The administrative assistant position is part-time. Part-time? Part-time, yes, ma'am, up to 29 hours a week.
Mayor, we have
questions?
speakers. Lorenza Fraire.
As I spoke earlier, I said that the city of Socorro is controlled by us, the taxpayers. Well, something here on your agenda you failed to report. I believe you have a civil service in place. The civil service is supposed to approve your job descriptions, but yet your civil service was never mentioned here. You have an ordinance that was created, Ordinance 86, where it stipulates that the civil service is supposed to approve these job descriptions, but yet you don't mention this. We, the public, are not aware what you're doing, but keep in mind, we know who's supposed to be in control. We are. And if you were elected to serve, believe me, God gave you the opportunity, and the choices that you make are yours, and the responsibilities that you do are yours. And believe me, it's not to me that you're going to have to answer to, or to us. It's to God. Thank you.
Sergio Jaime. Daniel Hernandez.
Just to clarify, the civil service ordinance was amended, and the last amendment took off the job descriptions, and that was done with prior administration.
Excuse me.
I'm sorry, Ms. Rodarte, could you repeat that, please?
I'm sorry?
Could you repeat that, please?
Our civil our civil ordinance for civil service was amended last administration, and the job descriptions were removed to take to civil service. They come straight to council.
Thank you.
So does anyone have any questions about the actual job description? Because that's what we're discussing here.
René Rodríguez.
Aye.
María Reyes.
Yes.
Ralph Duran.
Yes.
Victor Pérez.
Aye.
Iván Colón Villalobos.
Yes.
Item number 17, discussion and action to approve job description for building official in the Planning and Zoning Department.
Motion to approve the job description for discussion.
Second.
Mr. Perez?
Very quickly, Ms. Manning, on the job description,
Yes, sir.
are they do they need to be part of any professional association, like a planning organization or any kind of, something that will continue their professional development?
They have to have the building official certification. Okay. And yes, they are required per the job description, they're required to stay up on current on codes, attend classes, take courses, anything that keeps them up to, keeps their knowledge of the code up to date.
Okay.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Yes.
Lorenza Freire.
Back in 2001, we the people put a charter up, and we had the civil service in the charter to avoid corruption in the city of Socorro, based on the fact that it is through the employees that corruption exists in Socorro. Later, council changed it, took it off of the charter, and put it on Ordinance 86. As you can see, council is at its best for corruption. Now I find out that the civil service the employees are all under city council. My goodness, aren't we all happy now that you guys can put your people in, the people you want and the people you want? I know that Alderman Duran was a civil servant, and he knew the rules and he knew exactly what I'm talking about. There was supposed to be control by the people, but now, Mr. Duran, looks like you all have full control. You can do what you want with it, but keep in mind, you do not answer to us, and we will not judge you, because you were elected by the gift of God to serve his people. Keep in mind that you, as a civil servant for over 8 years, knew that the job description should have gone through civil service to protect the employee. Now, since they're all under city council, the employees have no protection. They're going to be at your mercy, the way you want them to run, however you want them to run, and to do the things that you want them to do.
Mrs. Friday, your
based on
time
the
is up.
facts of the new ordinance. Thank you.
Sergio Jaime. Daniel Hernández. René Rodríguez.
Aye.
María Reyes.
Aye.
Ralph Duran.
Yes.
Victor Pérez.
Aye.
Iván Colón Villalobos.
Yes.
Item number 18, discussion and action to discuss and approve pricing and scope of work proposals from independent investigators.
Make a motion to approve for discussion.
Second.
Hello again. Okay, so as per is required, I got 3 bids for this service, okay? So the 3 bids were from Lear and Associates. One was from Lear and Associates, the second was from Valenzuela Law Firm, and the third was from Curran Law Firm. And the recommendation is to go with Lear Associates. They came in at,
Ms. Vare, would you,
ma'am?
would you speak into that?
Can you hear me now? Yes. Lear and Associates came in at $150 per hour. The Valenzuela Law Firm charges $250 an hour, and the current law firm charges $450 an hour. It's going to be an investigation, which means that all they're going to do is fact find, interview if they need to, and collect all that information. They're not going to make a determination. So we're not hiring somebody to decide. We're hiring somebody to look at the situation and find all the information that needs to be found, check laws, check regulations, that type of thing, and then just present findings. So with that set in mind, the least expensive route is the recommendation.
Mr. Perez?
So what makes up their staff, or what kind of specialties does this group have?
They're all investigators. They all investigate. So they investigate. The Lear and Associates investigates labor relations, labor issues, and also just general investigations. And with the law firms, pretty much the same. Kern specializes in employment. So that's part of the reason why we reached out to them.
Mayor? Ms. Villalobos?
Wouldn't it be a lot less expensive if we were to use our own police department?
That probably would not be a good idea, ma'am. If you're using your own employees, that's the conflict of interest. You're putting employees in a bad situation there when you're making them investigate their own. It's just not probably not good practice, I would say.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Perez?
Are we discussing, or and I don't remember the discussion, maybe it did take place, about putting a cap on how much we were going to spend in terms of, is that what we had said? Not just to pass 250, or?
I don't remember, but if you want to cap it at that, just put a cap. So it will not exceed any.
It could, it's almost like a blank check.
Well, can I just say that a conservative estimate of the hours would be between 12 and 15 at the most, maybe 25. You're still under $4,000
So about $4,000?
at the most, and that's with keeping it within the scope of what was asked. If anything else comes out, something unexpected comes up, then you'll add to the hours and the time and the scope of the investigation. But if there are no surprises, then you're looking at maybe at the most 25 hours.
I would feel more comfortable if we did put a cap.
What amount?
I would think conservatively 4,500.
Just seems fine.
It's up to you. I can make a motion. You do.
Yeah. I want to amend my motion to put a cap on my motion at $5,000, not to exceed that.
Mr. Perez, will you second it?
I'll second. Yes.
Lorenza Freire?
As you all heard Mr. Cox and his statement with what Alderman at Large Rene Rodriguez did at one of our last elections in November, where he came and obstructed the election, nothing was done against him. But now he makes the motion to go after another council person, probably because she has been defending the city of Socorro residents. She has been standing up for our righteousness. Well, if you're going to investigate her, I am requesting that you investigate the actions that he took. Make it was through Mr. Abetia that Mr. Rene Rodriguez got all of this information, where he made them kick us all out of the elections at that position. So, city manager, I am requesting at this time that if you are going to conclude an investigation on one council member, fair for one, fair for all, I am requesting, based on the statement from Mr. Cox, that Mr. Rene Rodriguez, Alderman at Large, be investigated with the videotapes that he took, the videotapes that he was showing, and his phone with Mr. Abatia and everything that they were doing, because the statement Mr. Cox made is true. And it needs to be investigated, because if not, then this is a sign of corruption, because you're going after one individual. And based on the fact what the HR said, that we couldn't use our own police
Ms.
department.
Friday, your time is up.
A conflict of interest?
Sergio
They're
Jaime.
law enforcement.
Tenemos el mismo problema, ¿verdad? Puras investigaciones, pagar dinero, aparte de teniendo unos detectives aquí para que hagan una investigación. ¿Por qué tener que gastar dinero en detectives privados? Eso es lo que no me explico con ustedes. ¿Qué es lo que está haciendo el concilio, la administración? Eso es lo que les digo, están malgastando el dinero cuando a la gente les falta banquetas, pavimento, alumbrado público, drenaje, agua. Esa es una ciudad la que debe de funcionar. No, este es un rancho, entiendan eso, es un rancho. Pero déjenme decirle, si de veras, si usted, Rosario, tiene que investigar a alguien, hágalo principalmente con el señor René Rodríguez y los demás. Eso se lo dejo de tarea, a ver si es cierto que está haciendo su trabajo.
Daniel Hernández. Mr. Hernández. René Rodríguez.
Aye.
Mayor, can I have one thing? Just for clarification, you're not actually approving an engagement at this point, and that's a separate procurement procedure. Off the top of my head, if the pricing's right, it might not even come to that level. But my point is that all you're just approving is the pricing and the scope of work. For the actual procurement and the contract, that may come back to you in a second.
Yes, Mr. Cox, you did.
My career and my life was spent 26 years in law enforcement. I was an investigator. I was a police officer. I was a supervisor. I looked into these kind of things, and I looked into the law and what you can and can't have, and what can be investigated. I was an investigator. So I went ahead and listened to that 2-hour tape that was leaked out to Jaime Abatia, and I sat there and I listened to it, and I tried to find something to investigate, something that's, what are they wanting to investigate? The fact that a council person might have said something that was out of line? Well, if the thing that's out of line is so strong, so bad that there's a shot of it being a hostile working environment or a sexual harassment complaint out of that, the EOC is here to investigate that for you, and it doesn't cost any money. It doesn't cost anything. You're wanting to spend $5,000 when you already have agencies that are doing that portion of it. Something about a comment that was made about wiggle. All that is just a lack of a better word. God, for God's sakes, what are you guys investigating? What are you spending your money on? Okay? The problem here with this tape, how did that tape, and why did that tape get leaked out to Jaime Abatia? Well, we know who the connection is. We all know who the connection is, okay? And if there's an issue between an employee, they have avenues that they can take.
Mr. Cox, your time is up.
All right, spend your money.
René Rodríguez.
Mr. Rodriguez?
You know, it's funny. The city didn't record anything. It was our city councilman, woman, that recorded it. So don't be pointing fingers at somebody that did it. As soon as something's recorded and it's public, anybody can do an opens request. So if you want to point fingers, I suggest you go to the city, ask for an open request, and you can see anybody who opened a request for that videotape. It's easy to come up here and podium and start pointing fingers at somebody just because you know the person or you ate lunch with the guy and stuff like that. It's very easy, but it's very easy to lie too. Very easy to lie. Because you can come to the podium and talk and spew all your lies.
Please.
Aye.
Maria Reyes,
No.
Ralph Duran,
Yes.
Victor Perez,
Yes.
Iván Colón Villalobos,
No.
Item number 19, discussion and action to approve staff to research and create an audit committee.
Motion to approve
Second.
the discussion and action.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The reason we're asking is just so we can research and do an audit committee that helps to ensure that management properly develops and adheres to sound system of internal controls, that procedures are in place to objectively assess management practices, and that the independent auditors, through their own review, objectively assess the government financial reporting practices. That would be just another layer of check and balances to our financials.
Any speakers?
Lorenza Fraire,
Ms. Reyes?
It saddens me to hear that you're forming a committee. You have had audits for the past year since we've been here. And there was a comment by Alderman at Large Rene Rodriguez when Mr. Alderman Chito Bowling told him that we were coming out in the audits, the findings the same every year. Our inventories were not right. Everything in the funds were not right, and everything. And he made the statement, they're coming out like that every year. Nothing was ever done. Mr. Bowling saw that there were misspending from our COs. You're being paying some of the stuff from our CO monies. Mr. Bowling's found that out. And Mr. Rodriguez says, oh, well, your last audit reflected a lot, and I was here when the auditor reported to you. The problem is, you have a problem. The problem is, you're not taking care of it. None of you that sit there have ever said, wait a minute, why are our audits coming out the same every year? Every year. That's the reason why the city of Socorro never qualified for grants, because of your audits. As an auditor myself, I can assure you, you all are headed for bankruptcy. Look at the stuff. You right now, you collect $5 million in our tax dollar, and you pay out $5,621,624 just to pay for your staff. So
Mrs.
actually,
Friday,
you don't
your
have
time
any
is
money
up.
left from us.
Sergio Jaime, Daniel Hernández,
Mr. Perez?
In terms of setting up the internal controls, and I think I'm going to say this in Spanish, cuando se trata de una ciudadanía o un municipio, es una organización pública, entonces se requiere de tener chequeos y balances de internos. Entonces, este va a ser un mecanismo para poder hacer eso. Entonces, nos están criticando de que no estamos manejando bien el presupuesto y esto y lo otro. Entonces, estamos tomando esos pasos para rectificarlo y todavía nos critican. Entonces, ni fu ni fa, como dicen en el vecindario. Entonces, para nosotros, es algo que es importante y esto es lo que nos va a dar mejor transparencia para todos, inclusive los votantes. Entonces, para mí, eso es lo más importante. Gracias.
Ms. Reyes?
I have a question, Ms. Rodarte. Who's going to comprise of this committee?
I'm sorry?
Who's going to be on the committee?
No, what we're asking is to research so we can bring back a policy for you and say, I mean, we would like to include the community, some community members, our CFO, and maybe someone from an outside agency to come and review. But we welcome our community to come out, ask any questions. If they want a workshop, we can definitely provide a workshop.
Yeah, I know that we had wanted one, but it says here, research and create an audit committee.
Correct. So we're just asking for permission so we can start
The
doing our
process.
research and bringing you something back with how many members, when we would meet, and what is it that they would be reviewing.
Okay.
And this is something that was brought by Mr. Casiano. He went to a training to the government finance, and that was a recommendation that they do to municipalities.
René Rodríguez,
Aye.
María Reyes,
Aye.
Ralph Duran,
Yes.
Victor Pérez,
Aye.
Iván Colom Villalobos.
Yes.
Item number 20, discussion and action to direct staff and city attorney to review and amend municipal code section 46-639 to address large animal ordinance.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Is there any comment?
I just want to go ahead and state that I did do a disclosure for that. The letter?
Yes.
Yes, okay, just to want to be transparent that I did write a letter of disclosure. Okay, thank you.
Well, and the reason that this item was brought up is Ms. Reyes and administration have been receiving, since some constituents are receiving notice of violations due to horses, and we've received a high volume of complaints. We feel it's necessary for us to go back and really read the ordinance and see how we can have a happy median with the owners, because we do have a lot of agricultural land, and we're in the transition, to a city. So how do we meet in the middle without causing any hardship for these people that do have horses and have had horses for many, many years, and that's the way of living for them. So we really want to sit down with the constituents and then see how we can work something that'll help everyone.
Horse or odors are part of the fresh country air.
Lorenza Fraire,
Alderman Reyes, you were correct. We did have this ordinance come through us, and there were public hearings and everything for animals at large. But it seems to me, corruption at its best, we're gonna get our friends to now approve them to have their animals in there. And of course, we're gonna do that because Alderman Duran has a feed store, and maybe he can get some of his friends to keep his horses.
Point of order.
And the thing
According
is
to,
that the
according
city of
to ordinance
Socorro has already
320,
amended this-
Amendment
has already
3,
amended this
paragraph 4,
ordinance
section
and
E,
has had a
personal
public
attacks are
hearing.
not provided.
I can say that I have the time to speak, and I was rudely interrupted. I'm sorry, Mayor, but she was rudely interrupted me. I have the right to speak on anything, Mayor, and he rudely interrupted me.
Ms. Ryder, you can only speak according to the item that we're discussing at the point.
It is about the item, okay? And the thing is that this item has already been taken care of. And the thing is that it seems to me that when we came in to fight this ordinance the last time, they didn't listen. And the thing is that we finally came to a consensus, and that's what they agreed on, as far as, because of the orders of the things with the animals. One of the things that you need to realize here, that you're here to serve the community, not yourselves. And when they publicize this, it's gonna cost us money to do the public hearings, it's gonna cost us money. We don't wanna be paying anymore. Please stop the misspending, thank you.
Sergio Jaime,
Mr. Duran?
Oh, no.
we have one more speaker.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Daniel Hernandez,
Mr. Duran?
I did interrupt, but I had every right to. According to ordinance 320, amendment number 3, paragraph 4, section E, personal attacks are not permitted. Members of the public should address questions to members of the city council, not to staff, which they have been doing. If we sit here, we can sit here and point fingers at each other. That's not what we're here for. Whether I have a feed store or not is irrelevant. What is relevant is how we address this ordinance. And I had every right to interrupt. It is in Robert's Rules of Order. And I do have a copy if you'd like to see it. And I do have a copy of ordinance 320, which we have
approved and which we need to abide by. Thank you.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Oh, no, he just took the words out of my mouth. One of the things is that people say, oh, I have every right. No, no, you don't. In the state of Texas, you don't. You can look it up. You can come here and say, oh, it's my First Amendment right. No, it's not. So, just throwing it out there. Do your homework before you come out here in the podium and start saying that we're infringing on your amendment rights, because we're not. You know, if you don't take the time to read your Texas Constitution and your Texas laws, then it's not my fault. But no, it's not.
Mr. Duran?
According to Robert's Rules of Order, there are two motions that I do not need to ask. I can interrupt the speaker, and that was one item, the point of order, which I did. And the other one is question of privilege. We can interrupt the speaker because then we have information that we need to bring forth. And there's had no second. The only one that rules on it is the mayor. Thank you.
René Rodríguez,
Aye.
María Reyes,
Aye.
Ralph Duran,
Yes.
Victor Pérez,
Aye.
Iván Colom Villalobos.
Yes.
Item number 21, discussion and action to direct staff to provide a strategic plan to beautify Valles, Las Lunas, and Manbrio Park ponds.
Mayor?
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes, I would like to delete item 21 and 22. The reason being is that we, prior council took initiative to do a Parks Master Plan. The reason why, and I'm gonna say it in Spanish too, the reason why is because when we came in, we did a park that cost us, a ridiculous amount of money, and yet the streets to that park are deteriorated. I understand your concerns, and I understand where our priorities need to be. But one of the things is that the reason why I want to delete these is because next month, at the end of next month or the beginning of November, we should have completed our Parks Master Plan. That's why the money that was allocated for one of these parks hasn't been used, because we took it upon ourselves to finish the Parks Master Plan, because with that funding, we can ask for grants, okay? That'll cost you less money to build parks, okay? So, hace 2 años nosotros en el concilio tuvimos la misma, que queríamos arreglar los parques, pero una de las cosas cuando uno entramos aquí, unos de nosotros nos fijamos que eran millones de dólares para un parque, ¿ok? Pero si se van ahorita a ese mismo parque, las calles para llegar a ese parque están muy feas, muy deterioradas, tienen hoyos y todo eso. Entonces ustedes dicen que necesitamos las cosas bonitas. Claro que sí, yo entiendo que es calidad de vida, pero también hay que ver que también de qué nos sirve ir al parque cuando nos vamos a ponchar porque hay un hoyo en la calle. Entonces, ¿qué calidad de vida es eso? Primero hay que arreglar las cosas. No les estamos diciendo, y no quiero que piensen, que no les vamos a arreglar los parques. Lo que estamos haciendo es que este mes que viene, para los fines de ese mes o al principio de noviembre, ya va a estar completado un
plan maestro.
Un plan maestro que el gobierno de Estados Unidos te dice, tengo fondos para darles a las ciudades, para que ustedes no gasten el dinero, pero ustedes necesitan ese plan. Ya estamos en lo último, ya no lo van a presentar, no va a pasar de noviembre. Entonces con eso podemos ya, con los fondos que tenemos, podemos aplicar y nomás pagar 20% de la cantidad que nos va a costar para arreglar eso. Entonces, mucha gente dice que les gastamos el dinero, pero si, un ejemplo, si vamos a poner $100,000, ¿ok? $100,000 para un parque, arreglárselo, y tenemos $100,000 y ya se nos acabó. Entonces, ¿qué va a pasar con los demás parques? Pero si vamos y aplicamos por esos grants, vamos a pagar $20,000 en vez de $100,000. ¿Qué quiere decir? Que tenemos otros $20,000 para poner en otro parque para que el gobierno nos dé $80,000. Entonces vamos a poder arreglar 5 parques en lo que uno quiere gastar en uno. Entonces, estamos trabajando por ustedes, estamos tratando de ahorrarle el dinero. So, no piensen que no vamos a arreglar nada. Simple y sencillamente voy yo a retirar esto de la agenda porque vamos a esperar que venga el plan que nos van a presentar. No pasa de noviembre, entonces vamos a poder decir, ¿sabes qué? Ya tenemos eso, vamos a ir a aplicar y vamos a poner los fondos. So, no se preocupen, nomás, simple y sencillamente no hay necesidad, nomás que nos den un poquito, porque vamos a querer arreglar todos los parques. Porque sí, cierto, tenemos también que la calidad de vida. ¿Ok?
Ms.
So,
Villalobos?
can I have a second?
Ms. Villalobos?
Who seconded the motion?
Ms.
I did.
I'd like to speak on the item.
Ms. Villalobos was first.
Mr. Rodriguez, will you please, when you speak, don't speak for us, speak for yourself, sir?
Oh,
I'm
no,
not-
no, I was talking
okay.
about prior council.
One
That's
of the
what I said.
things you said, we took it upon ourselves, you said it twice. No, we didn't take it upon ourselves, I think we voted
It
on
was
it,
prior.
sir. Yes, please use the correct word because we're being recorded and I don't want somebody coming back and telling us, Mr. Rodriguez said that you took
Okay.
it upon
No,
yourself.
no, but I did say prior council.
Thank you, sir.
And I will say it again, prior council.
I put this item on, these two items on the agenda because of the fact that the parks are in such poor condition. It's not going to take $100,000 to repair a swing. It's not going to take $100,000 to repair a park bench that's missing the top to the table. It's not going to take $100,000 to kill the weeds so that when our public walks in our parks, they're not taking stickers out of their shoes for the next 20 minutes. What I'm talking about is just spending a minimal amount of money to make our parks usable today. We're talking about a parks master plan. And then I hear that, oh, well, we're going to get grants. How long will that take? Most of the people out here have young kids. Those kids will be grown and gone by the time that parks master plan takes effect and we can get grants. I'm not talking about making a beautiful Bulldog Championship park out of each of the parks. What I'm talking about is making these parks usable today. Get the weeds out of them, repair the park benches, and in one park, we have no benches, there's nothing. There's just a walking path that's full of weeds. All I'm talking about is getting the weeds out, repairing the basketball court that the public put up, not the city. The people that live in that area put up their own basketball court. All I'm saying is let's get those basketball courts repaired. It's not going to take $100,000. Let's get, and then for item number 21 or 22. This park has been approved for a long time. The money was approved, it's there. Granted, we're not spending $100,000 again. I mean, we keep hearing that. We're not going to build another Mauro Rosas, which we've probably spent $50,000 on just planning. We don't have anything yet. The people out here, they want a park they can use, not in December when the master plan is brought forth, or a year later when finally we get a grant. They pay taxes, they deserve a park that they can use today, not in the future. And we're not going to spend tons of money. I think we can go back, we can get with staff and find out what we can do to make these parks usable today for our kids, that just get rid of the weeds. That's not a huge expenditure of money. We need to repair the swings. I have pictures, if you all have the same pictures, of the swings that are all broken. Why can't we repair them? Are we going to wait for a grant to repair a swing? No, I don't think so. I mean, I'm looking at them, and it sickens me. Looking at, and when I walk the parks, I mean, they're in such disrepair. At Montreal Park, we have 3 covered areas. 2 of them don't have park tops, or the tabletops. It just is I cannot imagine how we can deny the people of Socorro just something they can use today, not in December or when we get a grant. Granted, when we get a grant, we can beautify those parks more because it'll be more money, a lot more money that we can do with. But let's work on it today, not in years from now. Thank you.
Ms. Reyes?
Yes, you know, you say Valles, Las Lunas, and Montreal Park. Same thing applies to Moon City. And you know what? I'm willing to go ahead and abide by what we're going to look at as a whole. We're not going to just pick and choose whichever ones we want to have done now. I think we all need to do it as a plan so that every park needs to be addressed, not just those for right now, because this, and that's what we're trying to do. Why am I going to spend to fix these three? What happened to mine? What happened to the ones in District 4? What happened to District 3? You know? So I feel that if we wait for the master plan, we can go ahead and look at it and see what needs to get done. I know what you're talking about. I saw the tables in Moon City Park that don't have the tables, or the seating has been taken out. You know, so I feel that these can wait. I think there's more other things more important right now that we need to work at. Also, it's not just these three. I think we need to do it all as a concept, as a whole, for the park master plan.
Ms. Villalobos?
I'd like to suggest if we could table this item and maybe add the other parks and then put a list of what we're willing to fix based on what we have in our funds right now. For example, swings are very important.
That's an internal and administrative function. I mean.
Okay,
it-
so,
the-
I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry
Let
to
me
interrupt.
I
Finish.
appreciate it. Let's just table it and maybe sit down if we can, and bring it back and talk about the items that we could fix. I think we could come to a happy medium here. And bring, you know, some swings back, you know, fix a table. I know I sat at one bench one time and it was lopsided. That kind of stuff, based on what we do have right now. I think that's exactly what you wanted to do with the parks in your district. And I agree with Mrs. Reyes that it should be all parks, not just in one area. And I believe we could come to a happy medium if we could change the motion and table it for another time.
Mr. Perez?
I think that we're talking about two different things. We're talking about the grants, which is very much needed, but we're also talking about a maintenance program, which is separate and apart from what we're talking about. And so I think that if we can go ahead and that would be at the discretion of admin. I think admin needs to have there should be some kind of schedule of rotations to maintain the parks. So I think that needs, I don't know if you all are dealing with that internally now, but I would strongly suggest that get done, just so that we don't have these kinds of discussions, because one is a maintenance program, the other is seeking out new funding for improving the parks altogether. So I would support tabling this until we get a maintenance program going, because I think that's what we need to do is talk about a maintenance program, and then and that won't stifle the progress on the master plan. So I think that if we can direct staff to develop in conjunction with this, develop a maintenance program, and then we can continue, and that way we can also continue not only the grants portion, but the maintenance portion as well. That's my 2 cents.
Mr. Duran?
I agree with that 100%. With item number 21. But 22, the money's there, so we can start at least giving the people something they can use for Veterans Park. Socorro Veterans Park, the money has been there for 2 years. We don't need to have a Bulldog Championship Park. I think with the money that we have, we can put a walking path and grass. That's all they need. We don't need giant, beautiful parks. We have one, and they're building another one. So on item number 21, I think we should leave it to staff to address all the parks. Because, I mean, we don't, in my district, we don't have a Bulldog Championship Park. I know one district does, and some of you have parks that are developed, but they all need some help. They all do. And I think on item 21, if we could have staff, and it just says, it doesn't say to change anything, it says direct staff to provide a strategic plan to beautify. So I think we can table this one and add any other parks that need help, and have staff make a plan so that the parks can become usable.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yeah, I mean, I understand and I get it. I already did the motion because it says direct staff to create a conceptual design Therefore, you're not asking to put little sod. You're asking for a design for that park. That takes money. That's one of the things that I don't agree, because, like I said, we're gonna address that as soon as we get the Parks Master Plan. One of the things, Mr. Perez, is that that's an internal function. That shouldn't even be considered here. You know, all we have to say is, you know what, get to it. That's it. There's no need for this. There isn't. I mean, if you want to create a cycle, they already have a cycle. That's why item number 16 is there. Why? Because how many people do we have in parks, people? How many people do we have in parks? 3. 3. For how many parks? How many parks? 17. Do you see where it's lopsided? Half. And I'm just lowballing. I don't even want to tell you the actual figures. But half of our 17 parks are nothing but dirt. Okay? And you want me to go ahead and say, we're only going to do these for these parks? I know we're all taxpayers. I'm a taxpayer too because I live here. But is it fair just to pick and choose whatever we want? No. That's why at least I, in prior administration, we took it upon ourselves to say, hey, we're going to do an equal amount of stuff, and that's why we need a Parks Master Plan, so that we can't just say, oh, I need it because I want it. You know, because that's what prior administrations to mine were doing. They pick and choose because, oh, este parque está con mi primo, este parque está donde yo vivía. You know, those times are gone. We want everybody to have equality. And that's what we're trying to do, is give you the best for the buck, okay? Now, I'm just saying, by the end of November, we should already have that plan. And then we're gonna tackle it and say, you know what, parejitos. Como dice mi mamá, todos coludos o todos rabones, okay? Así. So that's why, Mr. Perez, I'm gonna stay with my motion to delete these items, because that's an internal function. If we need swings, they should attend to it.
And that's what I told
And that's what I'm saying. We don't need these. That's why we're getting 16, because we need an administrative assistant on parks, because we're having an issue that we only have 3 employees for 17 parks. Do we already have a cycle? Yes, we do. But we need to push that, because why? Because we're understaffed. We're understaffed. I understand we have quality of life, but we need to also say, you know what, we need to tackle it all at once. And that's why the master plan is, and that's why I will stay with my motion. And the administration already knows what the intentions are. They need to know that we have to fix and repair our current stuff, and they should get to it. That's it. So I stick with the motion, and I call for the question.
Ms. Villalobos?
I just want to clarify, Mr. Rene Rodriguez said that there's only 3 people at the parks. Well, I think, I know I would love to be at the park, but the park has nothing to offer me. So I believe our constituents are telling us loud and clear, there's nothing at the park worth my time. So therefore, I believe in both of you. Both of you have a very good point. Someone that has spoken to a lot of people, a lot of constituents. Yes, they are always attacking the park issue. Yes, they are. But I do agree with Mr. Rodriguez today, where he says the way it was worded, maybe you can come back with a more description of what exactly is that we're trying to accomplish here together. So that's
Mr. Rodriguez?
You misunderstood. I didn't say, I said how many employees do we have for the parks? So
I'm sorry.
it's only 3 for 17.
Okay.
That's
You
what,
said like
I'm
3
sorry,
people.
I'm sorry. No, I know. No, what I'm saying is that we only have 3 employees for 17 parks. Half of those parks are nothing but sand and dirt, that's it, and brushes. So that's what we're trying to say, is that how can we pick and choose rather than just do the plan? Look, it's been in 2 years of works, okay? Nothing is done right off the bat. We said to ourselves, you know what, yeah, there is a little bit of there, but what we want to do, and the goal is to tackle it. Why can't we just do it as a whole instead of just picking and choosing? Because you know, you want it and you want it and you want it and that's it, or because you said to, you know, constituents and stuff, hey, this is what we're gonna get you. But one of the things is that I'm saying is, look, let's address it all as a whole. If our concerns are because we need swings where swings are supposed to be, then that's an administrative issue. I mean, we bring it up to our city manager and say, hey, you need to get on this. You know what, if we're missing tables, you need to get on this. If you need something like maintenance and stuff like that, then that's an internal issue. What I'm saying is, you know what, we're getting this, and I'll stick by it, but that's what I was trying to say. Only 3 employees.
Ms. Villalobos?
Just real quick, do we have a list of rotation to review items that need to be done for the park? Is there, and if so, how long have these swings been not functional? And why do we have to have this meeting in saying that we have to direct staff or administrative to do the fixing when there should be already a list that should be fixing? Are we low on funds?
Correct. No one has really allocated funding to those parks. And that's part of the reason that Mr. Duran came to me and I said, bring an item to the agenda and provide us a number. We will be more than happy to improve those parks, but we need to allocate some funding and, you know, direction from you all, how much money you want. I can't make that decision on my own on how much money I allocate to each park. That's
Mayor.
council's decision.
Ms. Reyes?
I just want to go ahead and say that, you know what, why are we going to start dismantling a plan that is supposed to be intact and taken as a basis as to how we're going to address, how we're going to address this issue without having to just say, okay, let's disregard the plan for right now, but let's go ahead and do this and allocate monies for this for right now. No, we have a plan, we need to stick to it, and this way we get to know what we're going to spend, what it's going to cost. Everything is going to be set in this master plan. We start fixing here, hey, I want mine done too, and then he wants his done too, he wants his done too, and we all want it, okay? So what happened to the master plan? Then why do we even have it? The fact is that because we need to be held accountable as to how we're going to allocate monies, how we can save the city money with grants. Nobody said it was going to be easy and quick and yesterday. Okay, so the thing is that if we stick to the way it's supposed to be, then I think we can do it in a proper way where everybody will be happy. All parks will be addressed accordingly. I would like mine to be taken care of first before anybody, but you know it's not going to happen. It's not fair. All of them should be taken care of at the same time, with everybody having an input on all of the parks, not just 2 or 3. Okay? Thank you.
Mr. Duran?
I've read the master plan for the parks. It doesn't pick and choose. It is a conceptual plan. In other words, we as a council will have an input as to what is being done at each park. It's not, there's nothing dismantling about it by fixing a swing. That is not going to dismantle the master plan, because there's nothing in there about that. I'm talking about day-to-day use of the parks. And I realize that everybody has parks in their district that need help. I would like to see somebody make, you know, we can just not delete these items. Because these people came out here, they want to hear something that their parks are going to be addressed. Our city manager says there's no money to address these problems. There's no money to fix, to maintain what we have already. By maintaining what we have, we're not dismantling the parks master plan. We need to maintain what we have in all the parks. And I do agree that everybody has issues with their parks. But I think these 3 parks are the worst. Because like Mr. Rene said, they're just holes. We need to put on several of these parks signs, because we're liable if somebody drowns in one of those parks when there's a heavy rain. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Martinez. But if we do not put a sign up there saying that it's dangerous to get near that water, somebody drowns, they can technically sue us. We need to have a pole in the middle at the lowest point showing what the water level is. I don't know if any of you have seen those those 3 parks after this heavy rain, but they were little lakes. And I've heard that kids have been swimming in there. We need to have signs to prevent that. And are we going to wait till the master plan comes along so we can put those signs? Are we going to wait till some kid drowns in there to put up signs? We need to do certain things to maintain these parks. We need to do certain things to protect the public that uses the parks. And I think that should be in all parks that are reservoir parks. We need to have those poles warning of the dangers of the water. They have them at Album Park. They have a pole sitting right in at the lowest part showing how deep the water is. And they also say that you should stay away when there's water present. That's what we need in all of the parks that we have that are reservoir parks. And to say, let's wait till the master plan, that is just unacceptable. That's unacceptable for the city on a liable, holding us liable for things that could happen. And Mr. Martinez basically said, yeah, we need to protect the public, number one. And then we need to just maintain what we have. So I don't think we should delete these items. I think we should work on them. I agree with tabling them until the next meeting where we can add to all the parks and what they need and see how much we need just to maintain them. It's not going to dismantle the master plan. I've read the master plan. The master plan is just a guideline for going after grants. When we get the grant, it's going to be, we're going to say, here's what we're going to do at this park. It's not saying, oh, because you already spent $2,000 or $3,000 fixing and putting up preventative maintenance signs, it's going to blow the master plan. No, it's not. Those are going to end up staying there because we need to have them there. We need maintenance on them, and I think that's what will, it doesn't cost, we're not going to blow the master plan by killing the weeds. I'm sorry, we won't. But it will help when the people that do use the parks, and we'll get a list of all of them. These are the ones that I saw, so I put them on here. I didn't get a chance to go to every district and see what they have. But I think you should bring what you have concerns in your district, and, well, Bulldog Championship, well, we won't go there.
Okay, I think I can solve your emergency problem. I believe you can go with Mrs. Rodarte, but correct me if I'm wrong. If it is an emergency, if it is danger, I don't think she has to bring it to council. You can put those signs up there. So we can resolve that with that. I believe maybe we should just, I don't know if we can, Mr. Martinez, vote on a date for all of us to bring items regarding our parks, we're talking about swings, not adding anything, but just fixing what's already there. Maybe bring the items, vote on a date, and bring those back. Bring the items. And one question: why are we holding off on the Socorro Veterans Park? If the funds are there, like Mr. Duran is saying, why are we holding off? What's the holdup?
Monsoon season. We only have a certain amount of employees if we're gonna do it in-house. We have to keep up with the weeds, and if I go work in the park, then we're not taking care of other items. We're not paving, we're not taking care of the potholes, the weeds, and picking up of the water.
Okay, so do we have a projected date for that to start for Veterans Park?
No, what we were waiting is on the master's plan,
Okay.
because it is part of that master plan.
I see. Thank you.
Ms. Reyes?
Thank you.
Mr. Perez?
I think that we should treat this like we did with the streets. Have staff prioritize which parks need to be addressed, and then include that as part of the master plan. Yes, it's going to hold off on some of the things, some of what you want to do. I understand that, but we're all in the same situation more or less. And so I think that if we can just go ahead, and I'll be the first one, I don't remember seeing a projected maintenance plan for the park, or included as the park master plan. And if there isn't, there should be included in there. That way we can have staff prioritize it. If we get ourselves out of that, then, because once we start, it should be this one, and it should be that one. No, I think that we leave it to the objectiveness of staff, and then they come up with a priority as to what needs to be addressed.
Mr. Duran?
I think that is a very, very good idea, because if we go and have staff look at the parks, maintain what we do have already, not wait for the master plan, because a swing, we're locked maybe a year from now before it gets repaired. That's not acceptable to me or to the people that are here for the parks. I think, like you said, I mean, we're not going to replace those swings in the master plan. We may add more, but let's prioritize, like you said, that is a great idea, which parks are the worst, just like we did with the streets. Check the parks, see what needs to be repaired in them, just for use, daily use, and then get them working that way. I like that plan. I think that is probably the best, and not just forget about it and remove it from the agenda, because we need to talk about it.
And then one more thing, if I may,
Mr. Perez?
is that if they go out and do that survey, then we can realistically have a budget for that. So then, again, we're talking about two different things. And that way we can that also will help us further the master plan in terms of getting the parks up and going where they should be usable for everybody. All right.
Rene Rodriguez,
Aye.
Maria Reyes,
Aye.
Ralph Duran,
What are we voting on? Aye.
deleting items 21 and 22.
Who was the second?
Maria Reyes.
No.
Victor Perez,
No.
Iván Colón Villalobos,
Yeah, he can present something else. The proper way to say, hey, you know what, direct staff to do a cycle.
Okay, so I will vote no as well.
Now, can I make a motion, Mr. Martinez? Okay, I make a motion that we direct staff to prioritize the conditions of each of the parks in Socorro and make a recommendation to staff as to a money amount to bring them up to usable standards.
No?
Okay?
Can't do that.
Probably not fairly, that's a little broad, the motion's too broad for what we're supposed to do.
Okay.
For this motion.
Okay, then let's go ahead and I make a motion to table until our next meeting, to lay on the table till our next meeting, when council can bring us a,
No, because she said no.
But it'll come back the same, so.
Yeah, it's gonna come back the same.
okay,
So,
good, just make a motion to lay on the table.
I'm sorry, I did hear your vote, Mr. Colon. I said no. Okay, thank you.
so your motion is to postpone for the next regular meeting?
Yes,
For item 21?
for item number 21. Okay,
That's why I'm saying,
You need to
delete the
delete it and
item.
then reword
He
it
can
and-
reword it and bring it back.
okay. Okay, I make a motion to delete item number 21. No, not 22.
Delete.
I know.
The same way.
Yeah, it's best.
That's right. Oh my God, that's what I've been saying.
Mr. Duran, and are you deleting both items, 21?
No, just item number 21. We still discuss item 22.
Rene Rodriguez,
Aye.
Maria Reyes,
Aye.
Ralph Duran,
Yes,
Victor Perez,
yes, aye.
and Iván Colón Villalobos.
21,
21.
just 21.
Just, oh, okay. And what is the motion?
To delete number 21.
Okay, yes.
It'll become dropped.
just to clarify for the people that are here, we're not going to do anything about the parks. At the next meeting, I'll bring up an item to do exactly, we'll see which parks are the worst and find a way to address how we can bring them up to usable standards.
Item number 22, discussion and action to direct staff to create a conceptual design for the Socorro Veterans Park. Mr. Rodriguez?
My item.
Make a motion to delete.
Second.
Mr. Duran?
Okay, this is my item. We've been waiting for 2 years for this park to even start. I'm not saying let's go ahead and build another Bulldog. I'm saying let's get something usable. A jogging path, we have the money. A jogging path and grass, that's it. That way when the master plan comes in, we can add all the bells and whistles. But I think we need to do something now to have staff see if we can build something usable with the $25,000 that we have allocated for this park. And I think we can come under budget with just a jogging path and grass. I think we need to not delete it, but we need to at least see if staff can come up with a conceptual design that will come under that $25,000 budget, so that we do have something usable.
Ms. Villalobos?
We're looking at item 22, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Item 22, backup. I was confused
Come.
with it, and I'm even more confused now. Does it correspond with item 22?
It's just the allocation of the funding. Where it was moved to Socorro veterans, if you read the minutes.
Okay. Alrighty then. Now that makes sense. Thank you.
Mr. Perez?
I guess the question becomes, does staff have the capability to develop a conceptual?
Yes.
Okay. That's all.
René Rodríguez,
Aye.
Maria Reyes,
Aye.
Ralph Duran,
This is to delete, correct? No.
Victor Pérez,
Excuse me? No.
Iván Colom Villalobos.
This is in the master plan, correct? We already have. Okay.
So it's to delete.
To delete, yes, I know. I'm gonna say, yes.
Item number 23, discussion and action to discuss municipal court's judge performance, job performance.
Mayor, I'd like to delete this item because we've discussed with staff and how to address items that are problems that have come up. Staff has come up with a solution, so I make a motion to delete item number 23.
Second.
Mr. Rodriguez?
You know, when I saw this item and I read the backup, you know, one of the things that is very heartening and disconcerting to our judge, first of all, I want to apologize because, you know, just because when some council member decides to say, oh, it's, there's some wrongdoing, but there's no proof, and just comes out and publicly, you know, I feel that, that it's improper. We shouldn't mess around with our judicial system because the law states that. One of the things is that a job performance. As you recall, this is something that our current judge also applied with our mayor, and she never got a evaluation because it's not under contract either. And this is something that, you know, we need to tread lightly. This is something that it's only for employees to discuss their performance and not for somebody that's contracted. And it's very disheartening to see this because you're assuming and you're making people think that there's something wrong with our courts. One of the things in the backup, it says because of our magistrates. One of the things is that she has no control over magistrates, okay? It's a function of our police department. We cannot tell our police officers they need to go and give them tickets and go pick up people. We can't do that because we don't set quotas. So what I say is that the judicial system is apart from us. We do not have that functionality in the city. That's why they're apart. And I want to say I'm sorry for having this because it's something that shouldn't be brought up. This is something that if there was a problem, even if there was a problem, this should have been addressed to our administration, because they are not, and our judge is not an employee.
Ms. Reyes?
There is a canon law that prohibits that the judicial system must be separate from all other entities in the city, which is the administration, which is also the police department, where we cannot tell her what to do or what not to do. If she abides by her contract, she's been on this job for less than a year. Her contract is for 2 years, am I correct? Okay. So, you know, I feel that this needs to be addressed differently than brought out in this format as well. So I think we need to keep it separate. We do.
Mr. Perez?
And I agree with my colleagues on the dais here, because what we need to make sure is that, and there's that old saying that goes, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. And so the thing is that we need to make sure that and this goes for all of us, that we need to know our place as council versus the place of admin and what their functions are. And if there is a situation that we collectively as a body are not happy with the performance of the judge, or something comes up, then at that point when it's time for contract negotiations, that's when we need to address it. And so that's what I would say is that if there are concerns that come up, we tell the city manager, she tells the judge just to make sure that's taken care of. Although, and again, I think that judges have a standard of practice and conduct. And so if at this point, I don't think that we need to be discussing that, because we're not at that point.
Mr. Duran?
Well, the reason I brought this up is because of complaints. And, you know, we do have the right to discuss it, because under section, let me get my little eyeballs in here. Under section 551.074, we cannot discuss it in executive session. The closed meetings authorized by section 551.074 may deal only with officers and employees of a government body. Closed deliberations about selection of an independent contractor are not allowed. She's an independent contractor. She does not work she's not an employee of the city. And as an independent contractor, we do have the right to question whether certain aspects of the contract are being followed. And we did discuss that earlier today. That's why I make a motion to delete it. We did discuss it, and the problems are going to be addressed internally, not here, because like Mr. Pettis said, we're not at that point yet, but they are going to be addressed. And I just hope let's just delete the item and move on.
Ms. Villalobos?
Wow. I see that all of you recognize that there's contract and then there's employees. And yet, there's a double standard here. Today you guys voted for item 18. In the past you voted for item 36. I was not an employee. I am not an employee. I'm a contract worker. I have a term. I don't understand how today, and I agree with you. I completely, wholeheartedly agree with you. We do have the right to ask. But just because it's not the right person asking asking the questions, other people get ridiculed for it. And this is the perfect example, right here. And I just wanted to make that point, because this is how I feel. I felt like I felt like my power is you're trying to strip my power away just because of who I am and how I fight for the city. I don't conform to the past. I don't conform to you guys, to council. I'm different, but I don't mean any harm from it. I just want the best for the city. I work really hard for the city. I've been with constituents at 11 o'clock many times, many times. and I'm being told that that was wrong. That was wrong. And,
That's off topic.
I think we're straying from the posted agenda item about the
Okay.
municipal court.
sorry. Thank you.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes, we get a paycheck for the city, so we are city employees. It's just that simple. Yes, so we're not contractors. One of the things is that, yes, it's easy to delete an item, but yet we don't want to speak on it on public forum. Why? Because, well, we did a mistake and posted. No, we already posted it, but we're going to speak about it. And one of the things is, if there was a problem or there was an issue, that issue and that problem needs to be, spoken here in public. Not whose authority is it that, oh, I already talked to somebody and it got straightened out. This is the board. Once you place an item on the agenda, you can't go around the board. That's an issue that I have, is that why is it that we're putting this, but then, oh, I already fixed it this morning. Do you see what's wrong? Mr. Perez, do you think that's correct? And that's why I'm discussing this, because you know what, if there was a problem, and you know what, the backup states, and some of the things is what, oh, why aren't they doing magistrates? You know what, she has no authority over that. She is there to do her job, and she has done her job. If there's job performance, I have a beef with, you know what, our ex-mayor didn't have a review, a job performance review. She never did. And the one before that never did either. Why is it that now we do have that? I want to know why. Why? It's one of those things that I say, you know what, hey, we have to be worried about what we do to our judicial system. I'm going to say it once, I'm going to say it twice. And as many times as we have. You know what? I'm glad we're deleting this, but you know what? This has to be in the table, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry you're put in that predicament. That's beyond your realm of scope of work. You can't tell officers, like I said, and I'll state it again. She can't tell our officers, how many people come in, so she can do magistrates. We know that crime has going down year after year. We are one more number in the safest city in Texas. So, of course it's going to go down. And you want to ding her because of her performance because of that? I mean, there's something wrong and fishy, and that's something that I don't like. And when you come and you try to ridicule somebody like that, of course I'm going to have something to say. Call for the question.
Rene Rodriguez,
Aye.
Maria Reyes,
To delete.
Yes.
Ralph Duran,
Yes.
Victor Perez,
Aye.
and Ivan Colom Villalobos is absent.
Item number 24, discussion and action to approve changing the name of City Street from South East Lake Boulevard to Hueco Tanks Road or Old Hueco Tanks Road. Mr. Duran?
Make a motion to approve.
Excuse me, I had my hand up first, sweetie.
Ms. Reyes?
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Is that she didn't see? Okay, now, I want to,
Mrs. Reyes.
Oh,
okay. His motion is void since I have the floor.
Do we have a second?
I'm sorry?
Do we have a second?
No, she was first before him.
I was first. She didn't recognize me first when he said his motion, because she didn't look at me, and I told her I had my hand up, so she recognized me first. So his motion is going to be void. Is that correct, Mr. Martinez?
Actually, the chair of the meeting gets to decide who she recognizes or didn't recognize.
Ms. Reyes, go ahead.
Thank you. Okay. I want to go ahead and table this. My understanding is that we had already had a discussion and that we're not allowed to, or we cannot change it according to the advice. No, and it wasn't you. It was
It wasn't legal advice, it may have been from someone else, but it's not legal.
No.
No, he did. He did.
Burkobat.
Berkelback did.
You know what? Can we revise? Can we look at that? Somebody did come and tell us, because I did put this item agenda.
And we
I did bring it up, Jim, and you can look at it. And we were told, and I know it wasn't you, but somebody came and it was on our legal department and said that we couldn't or stuff like that, and I was voted.
No, I think if my memory serves, the way that.
I don't remember,
The
Mr.
way
Perez.
that we have Old Hueco Tanks Road, there would be like 3.
And
Remember?
he said we
And so
couldn't.
there's no continuity of the street, and however that's divided, because remember we said, Old Hueco Tanks will go like this, and it was like that, and then, so there was something, and it wasn't, I don't believe it was legal, it was just the practicality of renaming the street.
Yeah, because I wanted to change it as well, but I don't remember what happened. So,
Mr. Terraza?
okay, well, we have to second it for discussion.
Second for discussion.
To postpone.
To postpone for next meeting.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Yes, this case was presented last year on July the 7th, 2016. The reason staff recommended for the renaming of the East Lake or Old Hueco Tanks Road, because there was going to be a conflict where the two roads intersect. On the widening project of the Old Hueco Tanks Road, if you kept the same name, Old Hueco Tanks Road, at the intersection, there's no stop signs or no street lights. So there was going to be a conflict, and the Texas Department of Transportation requested that we rename the new road to East Lake because it's a continuance of the boulevard that comes from Horizon. So from the north of the I-10, it was going to be North East Lake, and then the continuance or the new boulevard that they're building right now is going to be South East Lake. And because it's a continuous stretch of road, in order to identify it, City Council decided to keep the same name, East Lake, because it was going to continue in the future. At the moment, the project ends on North Loop, and then the Old Hueco Tanks Road ends right here at the intersection. That was the reason why they voted to rename the street.
Mr. Arca?
Yes, we weren't advised by TxDOT to change it to East Lake. Council made that decision. I think that council, TxDOT, what they said is we can name it Old Hueco. We can drop the old and leave it as Hueco Tanks Road. And we went back and forth, and that's when the decision was just to continue as Southeast Lake.
Mr. Duran?
I think to maintain the integrity of Socorro, the heart of Socorro, we can change it to Hueco Tanks North. It's still Hueco Tanks because if we keep it East Lake, we're part of Horizon City. A lot of people will think that. Same with Horizon Boulevard. We can't change Horizon because there's too many people involved. Right now, we can change this because there's very few, if any, people involved. I think there's only like 3 or 4 property owners. But I think to maintain the, I don't know what the word is, integrity, no. Pardon me? The fabric, yes. So to maintain Socorro's identity, I think I think we can just make it Hueco Tanks North, because they've done it with Moon Road. There's Moon Road North already. And so I think that we need to keep our heritage. Hueco Tanks has been around forever. And to incorporate it into a Horizon Street, I think we need to look at the option of changing it to Hueco Tanks North Hueco Tanks. I think we can find a name that will not continue Old Hueco Tank Street, but just Hueco Tanks North, I think, would be a good name for it.
Ms. Villalobos?
I think this item also came back after November because that's when I got elected. So, and we spoke of this because I was in that meeting. And after debating back and forth, I believe Mr. Martinez told us, or Mrs. Rodarte, I can't remember, why we couldn't. And there was an issue there. I'd like for that.
Mr. Berkelback. I'm sorry, it was Mr. Berkelback.
It was, I'm sorry, okay. I think we should review that video and find out why we could not change it at the time. That's when you deleted it, Mr. Rodriguez. But as a realtor myself, that would be so confusing to, if we're gonna change it, let's just put another name if you want to, but if we can. But don't confuse north and south. Do you know how confusing that is? Trying to find, it is extremely, I mean, I look at streets every day, I drive by streets, and sometimes I say, what was El Paso's thinking of? Because that's where I'm mainly at. You know, where you have 5-digit numbers over here and 3, 4-digit numbers over here, and then you have another street that comes up with a different name and it's on the same path. You know, it's so confusing. But I think you should, point is, I think we should review that video to see exactly why Mr. Berkelback suggested that we did, or advised us strongly not to do it for a particular reason. I can't remember what it is right now.
Mr. Rodriguez?
You know, why don't we just table it, bring it back next, we can review the video, and then we'll find out, and then we'll just, and you know, and go from there. You know, we're not deleting it. What we're just saying is table it, because I totally forgot, because it was my item. And I remember that it didn't go through. I don't remember why. I just want to remember what was I told that why that agenda item wasn't right. So I want to just go back and just, we're not deleting this item. We're going to bring it back. So that we can, because I'm going to go look over the tapes, and I'm going to look at all the stuff that happened in that meeting, because that's something that I know, I remember somebody told us something, and at the time they made the decision and stuff, and that was it. That's all we're saying, is just give us the time to go and look at it, because like I said, we did bring it,
Right.
and I just want to freshen up and say, oh, okay, you know.
Mr. Dante?
Or Sergeant Munoz wanted to add some information regarding the safety concern.
Good afternoon, council and mayors. I would just like to point out that if, in my experience, if you guys are going to change names to the street, you guys take into consideration that it's not just changing a street name. We got to take safety into concern. Okay, we had this big problem in the past when we renamed the streets on the new Flores subdivision by Passmore, and it's just not changing the street name. There's a whole deal with the 911 system that comes up. So if we have an emergency in a name in a street that we renamed, and the county is not tracking that street has been named, it's going to delay response time not only for police department, fire, and medical personnel. So I understand that we can change the streets. I just want to make you aware that sometimes those little hiccups happen, and you know, I'm a perfect example of, you go to a street, somebody needs help, and we can't find that street because the officers don't know, EMS doesn't know, and of course the 911 system and ICAT are not tracking that we changed those streets. So therefore it presents a safety issue as far as the kink will get worked out, but at the time of that emergency, please be considered that it does pose a safety issue. As far as traffic accidents are concerned and all that, you know, in this particular area, just go ahead and see if you guys can take that into consideration for the safety of the city.
Mr. Duran?
I think what you're talking about is changing a street that's already been used.
Right.
That street has not been used. It's not even been built yet.
Correct.
So we're not really changing, and I think what happened with Mr. Berkelback was using the same name on the other street, because there is a break, so we really can't use that same name.
Yes, sir.
We're not talking about using the same name. It's not going to be North Old Waco Tanks. It's going to be North Waco Tanks. So there's not going to be any problem of not knowing where it's at. There's not going to be any problem of changing the names on anybody that has property on there, because there's nobody right now.
No, there's nobody there.
There's no numbers, there's nothing.
I just wanted to just point out that concern of the safety issue when it comes to renaming streets. Just you know, kind of that check mark and see if it'll pose a response time to our services when it comes time to do that. I just felt I had to come up and say that because we do have one collective effort here in this keeping our citizens safe, regardless of our.
I understand what you're saying. That was a big mess over there at Las Margaritas, because all the streets were changed. And I can see why it would be a problem. It's not the same problem here. We're not talking about changing a street that already has a name up. It's just conceptually the name is East Lake.
Yeah, I just
So
wanted to
it's not a problem of EMS is not going to know where it's at because they don't even know where East Lake is now anyway. So don't confuse the two.
Yes, sir.
What we're trying to do is maintain the integrity of our city.
Absolutely.
And not being a part of Horizon City.
Good
We're a
deal.
part of Socorro. And so I think what happened at that other meeting was Mr. Berkelback probably said, you can't have the same name if they're not continuous. And I think that's what you're going to find. So I think we can just maintain the integrity of the city by just calling it Old Waco Tanks, or Waco Tanks North, or North Waco Tanks, whatever.
Yeah, I
But
just wanted to
that's-
make that notation, sir. That was just my involvement in this for the consideration.
Thank you.
Mayor, we have some speakers. Lorenza Freire.
Sorry. Changing a name on the street is something that shouldn't be done, basically based on the facts that, you know, people might have their mails already going to those addresses, and it has to have a lot of problems in that. But I don't understand why this issue wasn't taken care of at the time when the naming of the street was done. Why City Council didn't act right at that point to do this. Why now? Why come back now? Now, I know that we're going through election time. Are we using political stunts now for issues to get votes and garnish votes? I mean, I hope not, because it was used in the past when they were renaming Horizon Boulevard back to Buford Boulevard. Let's stop using our money for political campaigns. I know it's a heartbreaker, but let me tell you, look at the past. All those that have used the parks and now the roads, they're not here. It's not gonna work, but you know what will happen? Our money's gonna be spent. And as it is, you're almost on the red. You're having to borrow and borrow and borrow. No grants. We're paying a grant writer more than what money we're receiving. Thank you.
Sergio Jaime. Daniel Hernández. Ben Ivy.
Thank you all very much. Just a little information, and Jim Martinez and Berkelback and all the other landowners that were involved in dedicating a lot of this land for the improvement of Old Waco Tanks Road at the time had an idea, and they also talked to all the authorities when we were dedicating this road, and a lot of it was undervalued. We dedicated it at an undervalued price. When they appraised it, a lot of the landowners took less money for it to help get it done, because it's been sitting there for a long time. Nobody's ever done anything about getting it done. It's important to the city of Socorro to have that. My great-grandfather came here with the railroads a long time ago. His name was William Moon, and he raised his family, and my mother and her aunts and all them, they all raised here, and that was always Old Waco Tanks Road. And all the people that are been here for a long period of time, that was always Old Waco Tanks Road. It was a direct route, or close to the best route to Old Waco Tanks, which a lot of people used to go up there back in those days. So anyway, we as the landowners, which there's about 4 landowners basically that were involved in it, 3 of them are all supportive of changing that name.
Mr. Ivy, your time is up.
Pardon?
Your time is up.
Okay, thank you all. I hope you all can support it some way.
Thank you.
So I just think that if we're gonna go ahead and name the street, we need to decide on a name that won't confuse anybody. And we need to, be in
Mayor.
contact with the police department to see how we can make sure that it's, changed accurately in the systems. And also,
Mayor.
Yeah, you gotta speak up more.
I was saying that if we're gonna change the name, we need to find a name that's not gonna be confusing. We need to advise the 911 communications to make sure that it's updated in the system, and we need to do it quick before there's more development there and there's actually houses and businesses that are gonna have to invest their money in changing the address.
If I can just put in my 2 cents, call it New Waco 10th Road, and problem solved. So I don't know, is there a table, motion to table?
Is there a motion?
Oh, the motion was on the table to postpone for next week. I mean, but we'll consider that and we'll just bring it back. I just wanna, I don't remember exactly. I don't know if it was legal. I don't wanna just point a finger at somebody. You know, I'm not saying that we're deleting this item. What we're saying is, we're postponing it because I know, like I said with, Mr. Rulan, that was my item and it got deleted for a reason. And if everybody knows, I will fight for my own agenda item. So it got deleted for a reason. I just don't remember it. I just want to go back and say, why was it deleted? So, I mean, that's all I'm saying is just, you know what, just a week ain't gonna kill anybody. So,
Mr. Duran?
Do we have a motion yet?
Yes.
Okay. Motion to table? Okay.
Mr. Martinez, and before we take the vote, if we do decide on changing it to New Waco Times, can we do that based on the agenda item as it's written?
Probably not.
No.
Probably need to.
And you,
I tried to throw in some permutations, that's not the first one, but only one came to me, and I threw in, well, Waco tanks or old Waco tanks, but it never occurred to me that it might be new Waco tanks. You probably, if you postpone that,
then you bring
It's
it
gonna-
back.
I suggest to the person who posted it, you might want to add another item. New
or
Waco tanks.
we could delete the item and then
Bring it back.
bring it back to just say, hey, we're gonna rename the street or whatever.
We can bring different,
You know, but
Instead of take
don't
action,
put a
rename.
name. Yeah, rename. So don't put a name
It's the
because,
verbiage of how you did
you know,
the agenda amendment.
you know, yeah, just leave it blank and then we could just rename it right then and there, and if we choose to, and go from there. Jim, am I correct?
It'd be better for notice if you had some idea what the name was.
can we put a list of names?
Sure.
Okay.
Old Waco tanks, new Waco tanks, modified Waco tanks, provisional Waco tanks, that's
El Viejo Waco.
Could,
yeah.
hey, Jim, could we send, individually send the names to Ms. Rodarte, our city manager, and maybe just say, hey, you know, this is potential, and then we just could go through there? But we would want to see what else everybody throws.
You'd want to include that, you'd want to include, I mean,
You wanna
same
include
thing
it
as
in the
fair
agenda.
notice. You'd want to include all the potential names that you might could consider in the agenda.
Okay, and then we all can see them, and then,
And get a consensus off of that.
so we're good, okay.
To the,
So, I
I
mean,
need to amend it.
you amend the motion, and
I-
then,
okay, I need to amend my motion from tabling to deleting the motion.
second. Second.
René Rodríguez,
Aye.
María Reyes,
Yes.
Ralph Duran.
Yes.
Victor Pérez,
Aye.
Iván Colom Villalobos.
I think maybe we should talk to the Moon family and see, you know, a name that they're comfortable with.
Mhm.
The Moon family, Mr. Ivy. I think we should consider you into the name since it was your family.
I'm sorry, I didn't.
I said we should possibly consider asking you a name of one of your family members.
On the track.
I'm sorry.
Ms. Reyes?
I have to intervene because there was an ordinance that was passed that we cannot name streets after living people.
No, well, he has deceased.
But that was why we went ahead and changed it when they named the Margarita
Oh, I
subdivision
know.
after
No,
themselves.
he said it was his great-grandfather, correct, that, anyways, it was an idea, okay? But I was talking about deceased.
Yeah,
So,
no, I'm just saying that
yes.
this is what had happened.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
Item number 26, discussion and action to direct staff to create an ordinance amending the City of Socorro Municipal Code, Division 2, Truck Route, Section 42 to 99, to include a portion of North Nevada's and railroad tracks.
Do we miss 25?
You missed 25.
It's 25.
Item number 25, discussion and action to direct staff and attorney to create an ordinance to appoint and remove boards and commission members. Mr. Duran?
Thank you. The reason I put this item on the agenda is because only one of our boards and commissions has any safety net for board and commission members. This was it used to be all patterned after Board of Adjustments. You had to let the person know why they were going to be removed. They had to have a public hearing, and it had to be voted on by the complete council. A previous administration wanted to just shotgun everybody and remove people at will. Believe me, I know I was one of them. I thought I was doing a good job, and I was removed for no reason. Then it happened where the members of, in my position, District 2, just removed a lot of people for no reason. But they removed people from Board of Adjustments. I had to bring it to the attention of the city that what they did was wrong. They thought that, well, it's on all the other ones, but I found in the ordinance whereby it was wrong, and we had to spend a lot of time and a lot of money bringing those people back. And one of them said, you know what, I'm tired of this, I quit. Never came back. So I think we need to have all of our boards and commissions patterned after Board of Adjustments, whereby everybody that is serving, and they serve as volunteers. They give their time, their expertise to our city for free. And just to have them removed for no reason is wrong. And I think that we need to have the staff pattern something after Board of Adjustments so that we can approve it. And that way all of our board and commission members will be protected. And I realize there are some board and commission members that maybe should be removed, but at least they will have their day to prove why they shouldn't. And then everybody else can have their say as to why, but not just arbitrarily remove people for no reason. To me, that is wrong.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Mayor, before discussion continues, I think I can add something. Address that. Mr. Representative Gudan is right for 3 of the commissions: the Civil Service Commission, the Historical Landmark Commission, and the Ethics Review Commission all operate that way. Anytime, good reason, no reason, all council has to do is vote on the item and they're removed. There are differences though. You get it? The Board of Adjustment. Hold on. Yeah, the Building and Standards Commission and the Board of Adjustment are very similar. They require a hearing. In fact, what they say is may be removed by City Council for cause on a written charge and must hold before a decision is made, you must hold a public hearing. That's exactly how the Building and Standards Commission reads, and let me make sure that's patterned after the Board of Adjustment, because that's controlled by state law. So you've got Building and Standards and Board of Adjustment that's controlled by state law. The only other one is Planning and Zoning. I think that reads very similar to the. I think that reads very similarly to the Board of Adjustment. Yes, it does. So you've got some that require basically pause and a hearing, and then the 3 others that don't. But the other reason I spoke up is two of those are controlled by state law. The Board of Adjustment and Planning and Zoning are controlled by state law, so I mean, if council passes and said, lawyers, go draft this, well, we could draft it, but it wouldn't have any effect on Planning and Zoning, Board of Adjustment, because that's controlled by state law. But the others would.
I don't remember that when before they, everybody did have protection.
I got one wrong, I'm sorry, I misspoke. This is one of the anomalies in state law, and I never understood why it's that way. Planning and zoning does not have cause. Planning and zoning is under the, at any time, no cause, council just says so and they're out. Board of Adjustment, even though that's a state statute, the Board of Adjustment is different. It says it has to be for cause on written notice and after a hearing. That's what the statute says.
But we can include the protection for all the commissions and boards?
Yeah, I think you could. I don't think there's anything in state law that says you can't. For most of the others, there is no state law that controls, and if you choose to do that, you can. For instance, that's exactly what you've done with the Building Standards Commission. That's not required by state law, but you've chosen to do that.
Mr. Duran?
So then, do we have a motion? Okay, I'd like to make a motion to direct staff and attorney to create an ordinance to appoint and remove board and commission members.
I would add to that motion, if I understand the intent correctly, to create a uniform process, a uniform set of procedures and standards to remove boards and commission members where permitted by state law, with the understanding it might be more than one ordinance. Don't forget, we have an ordinance that controls each board and commission. That's structurally, that's probably a pretty good idea. There's a reason for that. So we might bring you back 5 or 6 different proposed amendments to, even though it's the same change, it's 5 or 6 different ordinances.
Okay.
Repeat that verbatim.
I lost
Don't
you.
ask me to say it again, I can't do that.
While we're amending the motion, Mr. Martinez, can we also look at maybe a provision for when city council members do not appoint somebody, like a time period, so that other council members can go ahead and appoint somebody?
That involves appointment and removal, yes, ma'am?
I think that, okay. So let me amend my motion.
I think the two talismans that I threw in there, it's ordinances, and it's a uniform set of standards and procedures.
Okay. Let me see if I got that right. I think I lost you at direct staff. Motion is to direct staff and attorney to create ordinances to appoint and remove board and commission members
Pursuant to a uniform set of standards and procedures.
through a uniform set of standards and procedures. Do we need to add about, okay, well, I guess you could add in there, if an appointment is not made, council as a whole can make an appointment? Okay.
We'll provide some mechanism,
Okay.
a proposed mechanism where there's an inaction results in a vacancy.
Okay, that's my motion.
Any seconds?
We need a second.
Ms. Velos?
I'm did somebody second?
No.
No,
not
no
yet.
one seconded.
I'm concerned. I'm concerned that we have limited information and we're doing a big change here. I'm sorry. I'm concerned that we're changing something very significant and we have very little information on it. I believe we should still consult maybe with TML and check to see if we're not violating any rights.
From what I understand, it's just to direct the attorney to bring us proposed changes, and then from there we vote on whether those changes are approved.
Okay.
Yeah, because Jim's going to check on that.
Mayor,
Mr. Rodriguez?
thank you. You know, my biggest concern is that you want to take my appointee away if I'm waiting for somebody to be appointed. I mean, that's something that I don't believe in, and I'm going to tell you why I don't believe in it. I was sitting in the mayor's chair for how long, people? For 3.5 months, okay? I could have appointed everybody because I only had the at-large, and I had 2 for appointees for mayor, for every single one. What would that do? If I would appoint these people, I could have a control. If I really liked that idea, I would have done it. But I didn't because I knew that that chair was not mine. I knew that I needed to leave them because the way it is, if I would have appointed them and we passed this ordinance, they're stayed there. And she didn't have her appointee, and Mr. Ralph Duran wouldn't have his appointee as well. I think that it's unfair. I think that it's something that we have to really look at this and consider it, because I could have run the whole table. Now, if I was corrupt like everybody say, I would have done that. But I'm not. Why? Because I believe that everybody should have their appointee. I believe that everybody wants to put somebody that understands what they do with their appointees. I don't think that we should be going that route. I believe that if the state statute only protects certain amount we should leave it at that, and we take care of the rest. We shouldn't be touching these ordinances because, you know what? We have the why wouldn't I put somebody when I'm able to? Just because, I get along with that board member? That's one of the things that happened with the prior administration. Of course, and that's one of the things that I will say is we have to think about that. Are we gonna let somebody else appoint your appointees? I may not like your appointee, but that's your appointee. I may not like yours, or Mr. Ralph's, or our mayor. But, it's their appointees, and I think that we should allow them to. And I think that if state law already provides some ordinance in place, I think we should just leave it as is. That is just my take.
Mr. Rodriguez, we're just giving the commission
No,
members
I know,
added-
and I am giving my 2 cents. I think that even though we're gonna be, like I said, we wanna stretch our arm where we're not supposed to when the state already has some mechanisms in place. I don't think we should just stretch it out just because we want to. I mean, like I said, there are things like the judicial system where we shouldn't be meddling in. Well, the state has its own mechanisms. Why are we gonna meddle in just because we want to do something like that? I'm just giving my 2 cents. I just want you guys to be worried because I know that this is just appointees that come, take their time, and really wanna help and move the city forward. Now, if you wanna take that away from me, you're gonna have a fight. But like I said, I don't agree with that. I think that if the state already has it on certain things, it's for a reason. If the state did not find that it needed to do on the other branches, it's for a reason. We should abide by the law. Mr. Ralph Duran, you were there two meetings ago where you said, it's the law and we should abide by it. Why are we gonna go and contradict ourselves when you were there, said, it's the law, we should abide by the law? That's all I'm saying. I don't agree.
Mr. Duran?
Well, number one, we're talking about something different. The law, we used to have laws in place. We used to have ordinances that protected our board and commission members, but they were repealed by a previous administration. So they stripped us of that. We did have those in place. You're saying that we should follow the law. We had them in place, but they were taken away from us. So right now, technically, because the previous District 2 representative just removed people at will, I can do the same thing? That's what you're basically saying. All of us could do that. We don't like who's been appointed, let's just take them off. That's wrong, and I won't do that. What I want to do is have protection for the people that are on the boards and commissions. The protection that was there before, and it was stripped of them. And in fact, they thought Board of Adjustments had been stripped too because everybody was just taking people off. I had to show them that it was wrong. And I don't get $225 an hour to do that. I just looked up the law because the people that were taken off were good people. And they were just taken off because they can. And I just want that same protection that they used to have. We're not talking about the law as, you're just talking about the law, you're throwing it out there. The law is what we make it. It's an ordinance. It'll be a law. And it was there, and it was taken away from us. That's all I'm saying is that we need to replace what was taken, and that way our board and commission members know that unless they screw up really bad, that they're gonna be on there. That's it.
Mr. Perez?
I think we're talking about two things again. One is, I guess we're trying to establish some measure of due process for ejecting, before a member is ejected from a commission. I think that's one thing, which is, I can live with that. The other one that I'm a little bit more cautious about is having a window for city council, and I only speak for myself, and in the years that I've been here, I have not, everybody says no to me, or I have had only one successful appointment, and maybe two that is a continuation. But the others, it is hard to find, and we've opened up the city electronically for people to volunteer. Now, I think that if we, in the long run, if I in my, and again, I'm speaking for myself, I as a council member, if I cannot find anybody, then I will bite the bullet and ask my colleagues on the dais for assistance. But I think that I don't think that should be formalized as part of what our function. I think that in good conscience, and that's where I'm going to be heading for now, because I can't fill those spots, and so now I'm going to have to ask for that help, which I should have done a while back, but that's neither here nor there. But on the flip side, I think that providing that due process is something that I can live with, and that's the one thing that if we get further along this process, that's the part that I would support, not necessarily the formalization of a time frame that if a city council member didn't do or couldn't fill that position, that it automatically goes back to the council as opposed to the point. I think that should be incumbent upon us to seek that help from our colleagues.
Ms. Villalobos?
I just, want to say that at one point, very early in my newly elected position as a councilwoman, I asked Mr. Perez, since he had some spots, and there was a gentleman that I had removed, and it was wrong of me to remove him. He was a wonderful person. I was told that I could remove everybody, or I had to remove everybody because there were different. And so I started doing that, but I did bring him back. I asked Mr. Perez if he could add him back on there, on his, and we kept the other people. In my case, we added more people instead of losing people. But I don't know, maybe come up with a happy medium where not necessarily, if that spot hasn't been filled in a certain amount of time and you have nobody, maybe just respectfully ask the other person and agree that, we could do something like that instead of trying to change something. It will cost money for the attorneys to draw all this up. I'm thinking about, every time we ask them to do something, it's just more money. Just my 2 cents worth. Thank you.
And Mr. Perez, just to clarify, it could be something as simple as making sure that every board and commission has alternates, because that's also different and it's not across the board. Some of them do have a room for alternates and some of them don't. Mr. Rodriguez?
And to add to Ms. Villalobos, you also sent me 3 candidates.
Oh, yes.
Yes, and I took one. And that's what I'm trying to say, is that, give us the opportunity, because if we don't find one, Ms. Villalobos was very good about that, because she even sent me a text and said, hey, I got these board commissions, and I got back like 2 weeks later. Of course, it was 2 weeks later, but eventually I plugged in one of my people. They still come. I mean, I understand, but I mean, that's our choice. If I want to take her suggestion or not. But what I feel is you're trying to take that right away and just plug in whoever you want. I mean, it's not you personally, but I'm just saying, don't, that's a right that we have. They should not be stripped from us. If you have somebody like Ms. Villalobos had a couple of people, I had 3 to choose from, it should be up to us if we want to accept her recommendations or not, and continue looking. I mean, I took it, Mr. Perez obviously took it as well. I mean, those are things that, I mean, that's the only aspect I just don't like. Like I said, I was sitting in your place, Mayor. I could have filled them up. I could have filled them up. I didn't because, I'm gonna put the same people with my mentality, and then really when it comes to a vote, since I have already 3 people, I mean, they will make the decisions that I probably think, and that's not what I wanted. What I want is that it's gotta be diverse. If you wanna put your own people, I mean, just that, not to touch it. The other ones, like I said, they're there for a reason. The state only got those for a reason. I think that we shouldn't just be meddling in it. It's gonna cost us money. We're making a fuss out of, pinching money and stuff, and then this is something that, hey, we all in agreement that, it's something that if, it should be all right. And that's all I'm saying. That's all. I'm
Ms.
good.
Reyes?
Okay, I kind of agree with Mr. Rodriguez here because I would like to appoint somebody that's going to, that I know is going to do a good job in representing what the main purpose of when you're on a board, okay? Excuse me. I don't want it to come back later that says, well, I don't like what they're doing, and they have an option to take him away or her away or whoever it is. I want to go ahead and like to keep that option where I can appoint who I feel would do a good job, has the background, is willing and more than able and wanting to do it versus somebody who sits there and was from somebody previously who doesn't show up a lot of times and doesn't really want to work with council person or with the commission in itself. So I would like to keep it as is. I do feel that we have those things in place.
Okay.
Ms.
Thank you.
Ramos?
Go ahead, Mr. Durant, I forgot what I had a question, but I.
With regard to removing, only the person that removed or that is appointed the person can remove them. So you would, if your appointee is not doing the job, only you have the right to remove them. That's the way it states in Board of Adjustments. Not anybody else, only you.
Okay, that's the Board of Adjustments, that's state mandated. And
Well,
it's
I
very
know,
different
but-
when you're looking at the other commissions.
We're wanting to
okay?
pattern it
Yeah.
after that.
Well,
That way, you have the option to remove your appointee only, not city council as a whole. Only the person that, and that's why we want to pattern it after that.
Ms. Villalobos?
You bring a very good point. I mean, I tried really hard, Ms. Navarro. I think I worked on it for a while, trying to fill every spot and trying to call everybody. I thought we had candidates, but after we told them that it doesn't pay, and they even removed themselves from even coming to fill out an application, or even their application was they asked for us to remove their application. But he is right. We need to fill those positions, and we're not doing a job. We're not doing our job. So this is why I believe he's bringing this subject up and trying to fill them and make them permanent, where people are not removed, good people are not removed. Maybe we can, instead of taking the power away, because I believe most of us don't want that power taken away for many reasons. I can already see, I see the good points and I see the bad points. Some of them just vote yes. I have a very good gentleman, he just votes yes because everybody else votes yes, He never asks questions, he just votes how everybody else votes. So, and you take that power away. Maybe an evaluation of some sort that states, I know that I asked Ms. Navarro, does this gentleman attend? Well, he misses, 75, or he attends 75% of the meetings, or, that kind of stuff. that stuff was, in my case, that was the consideration. I asked attendance, how does he get along, that kind of stuff, okay? And, so I'm asking council that maybe next time you decide to remove somebody, maybe you should ask first what, you know, what their attendance is, you know, or did they participate or did they not participate? Are they just a warm body? You know, thank you.
And we have some speakers. Lorenza Freire.
Our biggest problem with the city council and all previous city councils is, number one, all the commissions are set for one reason only, to work for the community, the citizens of Socorro. They are not established to work together with you. In no means, based on the fact that they're here to enforce rules and regulations set by you. But the standards that you all have, that you gotta get somebody that will work with you, is irrelevant, and that is a reason why we have a lot of people that don't want to be on these commissions, because they say, oh, I got to do what he says. I myself volunteered almost 2 years ago to Mr. Rodriguez that I wanted to be on one of the commissions. He has yet to appoint me. Why? Because of the misconception. He thinks that I'm going to be on there to do what he wants me to, and that is a fact. It is happening. I have seen here in council meetings when the planning commission says no, but then the other guy comes and says, oh, no, mira. Then why not show respect for your commissions and honor their recommendation? No, ma'am, you never do. Well, let me tell you one thing. Respect is earned, and you all do not have any respect of the community based on those facts. If you want people to work, they work for the community. They're not like you all. Thank you.
Daniel Hernández.
After.
Sergio Jaime. Ralph Duran. I'm sorry, Rene Rodriguez.
No,
Mr. Rodriguez?
Oh, God, it never gets tiring when I have to say liar. Don't leave.
Mr. Rodriguez?
No, you know what? I'm just gonna say this. Never have that individual came up to me and asked me to be, because I would have put her in a commission. If she's getting Alzheimer's, it's not my fault or whatever, because she asked Mr. Ruiz, our mayor. No, you know what? Because I'm tired, okay?
Mr. Martinez.
I'm tired that they come and heckle us and they don't give us our due process as well. One of the things I will say is this, and I'm talking about the same agenda item.
Just restrict yourself to talk about the item.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. When they say that I wanted and that I did not take into consideration that individual, that's a lie. And that's what I'm saying. That's a lie. It was Mr. Ruiz who was presented that, not me. So I want to have it on record that it wasn't I who was presented that. Okay? One of the things is that I'm sick and tired that they come up, and it's funny, and you will know, Mayor, you will know that when stuff like this and agenda items come and present, it's easy that they come, say a lie, and they leave the door. And you will get tired. I guarantee you. One of the things is, I will say this. I don't agree. I just don't agree. So no.
Maria Reyes. No. Ralph Duran.
Yes.
Victor Perez.
I'm gonna say yes on the, because I do want to look at the options for, due process, yes.
Iván Colón Villalobos.
I think we need to look at Robert's rules and just, I don't think we can attack the public. I think I was reading Robert's rules the other day. I might be incorrect, but we need to look at them again. We're voting on item number
25.
25, and the motion was
direct staff and attorney to appoint, for an ordinance to create, remove, and appoint with uniform policies and standards and procedures.
To approve?
No, I said no.
This is tough. This is really tough. Two good points, But I believe the state has it that way for a reason, and I could see why they have it that way, so I'm gonna vote no.
Item number 26, discussion and action to direct staff to create an ordinance amending the City of Socorro Municipal Code Division 2 Truck Routes, Section 42-299, to include a portion of North Nevada's and railroad tracks. Mr. Duran?
The people there on North Nevadas have been dealing with this problem since, for a long time, and they put in a speed hump. Commercial traffic comes in through Alameda. There's a way that they can come in through Inglewood. Yes, sir.
Oh, I make a motion to delete the item, or, hold on, let me think about it. I want to make the motion to direct staff an amount of 90 days to look at this list, because this is something I don't know who picked out, and I think that staff should give us, routes instead of.
Mr. Huerta?
The backup is an ordinance that is already approved.
These are streets that have been identified already, correct?
Correct, it's
Okay.
not, we didn't select the streets.
From how long ago was it?
Oh, it's been a while. However, it's posted for truck routes. So the streets that you're seeing right now are designated as truck routes. I think the intent is we want to remove North Nevada's to be a truck route,
A portion of.
a portion, because of the residents that are, that live in the area.
Yeah, the way your ordinance is listed right now, heavy trucks are basically prohibited throughout the city unless it's a designated truck route. And we have a list of streets that are designated truck routes, and North Nevada's road is one of them. So it's the agenda item, close enough for discussion purposes. If the idea is to remove it, then the motion would be to amend that ordinance to remove North Nevada's from the list of truck routes or designated portion of North Nevada's.
Mr. Duran?
Okay.
Hold on. Mr. Duran, would you consider looking at the city as a whole again?
Of course.
No, hold on. Do it as a whole and just revise it, and you can pull that street out. Because I understand the portion of Nevada where there's, and it's like a tri-level. You guys know, right, from Alameda going on? And I understand, but if we're gonna touch this, could we just revamp the whole and just look at it as a whole? And just say, hey, these are truck routes and stuff, instead of just pulling that one out, and just look at all the city?
Well, it is to direct staff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but that was, but you only have,
Yeah,
I'm sorry, Mayor.
Yeah, to include a portion.
Yeah, because, but see, you only stated North Nevada's, and the railroad track, so you're being specific instead of being city.
That's what I'm.
That's actually incorrect. If you recall, in the last meeting, Stockyard, we moved the sign behind Reed Road to allow the trucks to enter. And Nevada's has commercial businesses, but then they have a residential area. And I think what they're trying to do is the portion where the residents live, they don't want the big trucks to pass, just because it's the structure of the homes and.
Do we, I'm sorry.
So I'll rescind my motion.
Okay.
Mr. Duran?
Okay, I mean, we're not doing it tonight. It is to direct staff. We're going to vote on it later. Is that correct?
No.
No.
Sorry, direct staff to,
If we direct staff to create an ordinance, the ordinance has already been created then.
it would be an
You're gonna
ordinance
do an
amendment.
Amendment to the ordinance, okay. So then the motion would be to direct staff to create an ordinance amending the City of Socorro Municipal Code Division 2 Truck Route Section 42-99 to include a portion of North Nevada's and railroad tracks. I think that
If I understand your intent of the motion would be to exclude. Because right now
exclude,
it's included.
yeah, exclude that. And I think that doing the city as a whole, I think we need to each look at our own districts and find out where there's a need. We don't need to go through this, or we would just put it on the agenda and everybody would have problems with where they,
I know this is gonna sound like a joke, but, hey, you know, all of the streets in Socorro seem to be a truck route now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
well, because of the fact that where it's at, it's just a little pocket of houses. There's not that many, and when they put that speed hump in there, all they did was vibrate the houses. When 80,000 pounds comes through there and they're going a little too fast, those houses vibrate. I was there yesterday when a truck went by and everything did shake. So I think, you know, citywide, yeah, we need to look at it. But I think these people need help tonight to stop that.
And I agree. I'm just saying, add that to delete, to remove from that, and then also look at the city as a whole, just direct staff to do it. Because I think that if
We
we're
can,
just
we
gonna.
can add that to it. Can we not, Jim?
Yes. Jim?
Can we add the whole city as a whole to look at?
Yeah, I mean, that would be a different item. I would, practically, let me say this, legally you could, practically I wouldn't suggest that. Practically, I think what Mr. Rodriguez is talking about is, that's really a staff function.
Mm-hmm.
Before we even start writing an ordinance, which is the expensive part, just have staff evaluate it, how should we, because that looks like that ordinance is 7 years old. Been a fair amount of growth in Socorro over the last 7 years. And so my thought would be, if you want to do what Mr. Rodriguez is describing, that motion should be direct ordinance to evaluate it, bring forward a proposed list of streets to add or remove from the list of truck routes, get council's input on that, add and subtract as you think appropriate, and then say, okay, here's the list, lawyers, go draft that ordinance.
Okay, I'll amend my motion to have staff evaluate and make a recommendation for streets that need to be removed from the truck routes.
And added.
Or added.
Or added. Okay, second.
Ms. Villalobos?
Mr. Duran, I just want to say, you know, you brought very good points today. These are items that I hear, whether we voted on them or deleted them or tabled them, they're very good points. I myself, when I speak to constituents, many of these items here have been a concern. So I just want to give you kudos for bringing good items.
Thank you.
Mr. Rodriguez?
No.
Lorenza Freire, Sergio Jaime, and Daniel Hernández. René Rodríguez,
Aye.
María Reyes, Ralph Duran,
Yes.
Victor Pérez,
aye.
and Iván Colón Villalobos.
Yes.
Mr. Martinez, do we have anything for executive?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Make a motion to delete 27, 28, and 29.
So moved.
I'm sorry. Motion to delete 27, 28, and 29.
Sure.
René Rodríguez,
Aye.
María Reyes,
Yes.
Ralph Duran,
Yes.
Victor Pérez,
Aye.
Iván Colón Villalobos.
Yes.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Third?
Fifth.
René Rodríguez,
Aye.
María Reyes,
Yes.
Ralph Duran,
Yes.
Victor Pérez,
Aye.
Iván Colón Villalobos.
Yes.
Let's sit here.
Meeting adjourned, 8:44.